Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be xhairymuppetx, and we'll just start the game off again. Had a bit of a false start there, but going in, going to get some stuff going on. Up the top left side, this is a random Masters game that I pulled off the Russian Starcraft 2 League series of games. Don't think it was actually in a tournament, just in a whole bunch of group plays. As I think the last game I cast of LoWeLy was actually in one of those same replay packs. So up the top left we do have LoWeLy, and he played off against actually I'm not going to say, because I'm actually going to upload this video like a day after I cast it, whereas the other one will probably be uploaded a week and a half after I cast it, and I will tell you exactly why that's going to happen in just a sec. And down the bottom right side we do have QXE playing for Complexity Gaming, and we saw him in the EMS Spring 2013 Cup, and he played some very awesome games versus Lucifron. Especially I think the second game was an absolute cracker, all over the place. One of the best games in the tournament, hands down. I believe the second game was, especially with the tank marine sort of stuff going on. But definitely watch it if you haven't seen it already. And yeah, I mentioned that this was going to get uploaded about a day after I cast it, and the other ones are going to wait. Of course, I've got about 20 DreamHack tournament games still to go up, but I'm going to put this up a little bit sooner, and that is because I just wanted to say something here, and I didn't want to have to wait a week and a half after I actually said it for it to go up on the internet. And that is, I cast a game, and it was between Scarlet and Polt a couple of days ago, and yes, like I do with pretty much every game so far, I'm going to say I basically assume that every player is just a he. So I go ahead and I say he is doing this, he is doing that, blah blah blah. And yes, straight off, that does make me a little bit chauvinistic, and it is mainly because I'm a guy. I assume all the players I'm casting are guys. And yes, somebody informed me in the comment that Scarlet is in fact a chick. And yes, I've looked up. I've gone onto Team Liquid Wikipedia, and they've got all the details of all the pro players up there, and she is indeed a chick, and she's actually been doing some really awesome stuff recently. So yes, I've just wanted to say, yes, big apologies to Scarlet for that mistake. I can't say it was a really mix-up, because honestly I haven't been looking up that information before the games. It's just not something that I've been thinking about doing, but it is 100% something that I will be doing from now on, because obviously, yes, if I want to make the games as good as they can be. I want to go in, do the pro tournaments, get in, do the big games, and that sort of mistakes is basically a bit of a noob mistake. And I will freely admit I'm a noob at this sort of commentating. I've only been going for about 2 months now. I've just sort of been jumping in feet first or head first, whichever way you want to look at it, and going nuts on the commentaries. But yes, definitely not a mistake I want to make ever again. So with all pro games from now on, I will be looking up beforehand, and once again, apologies to Scarlet. Now, another thing which you might have noticed if you go back and if you saw the comment, was that the person who made the comment strongly urged me to recast the game and referred to Scarlet not as a he for the rest of the game. And yes, I did refuse. I will not be recasting that game, and it is not because I am a chauvinistic bastard. It is because, as I've said a couple of times before, when I cast a game, I do so well at casting the game simply because I've never seen that game before. I'm as excited as you guys are watching it for the first time, and everything that pops up, I mean, the part of the fun of casting is thinking on the fly, seeing things happen on the fly. And if I were to cast a game, if I already know who's going to win, that's fine. That's one thing. I can do that. I prefer not to cast a game if I already know who wins. Most of the time I get away with it in tournament series, because you can see the winner, but it's just a name on the screen, and usually I just forget about it. About 10 minutes later, it's only after I really cast the game that it really sinks in. But once you've cast a game and you see everything that happens, And then seeing it again, it just jogs your memory constantly. And when these Hellions come out, it wouldn't be like, oh, he's going for a Hellion harass. He's going to see if the Zerg player has enough to ward this off. He's got a Spinecrawler coming out. What is going to happen? What is going to happen? There is none of that excitement, none of that energy. You're just like, oh, actually, this Spinecrawler is going to come up and he's going to chase these Hellions away. There's none of the anticipation when you cast a game and you've already casted before. It's just... as far as my casting goes, it becomes so boring, so bland, and if I had to make a choice between uploading a game that is boring and bland and uploading a game which has significant factual problems with it, then I would take the second game any day of the week, because fair enough, there's a fairly big mistake in that game, in that I'm referring to Scarlet as a guy when in fact she is a girl. But I mean, I could delete that game and then not upload anything to replace it, because whatever I uploaded to replace it would just be even worse. And yeah, I don't want to put up games that are just boring. If I cast an average game for the first time and I get bored in the middle of the game, then that game never makes it to air, man. There's just there's just no point uploading it. I've had 3 or 4 games so far. Mostly when I've cast like 4v4 games from silver and gold level players, because those are the only ones I can find. There's not that many 4v4 games from masters level players out there. And yeah, sometimes the games are just boring. They really don't do anything for me, and I just stop casting in the middle, and it's just 15 minutes down the drain. But yeah, I mean, you gotta have good quality stuff going on to actually upload. And yeah, so that is it. That is why there may be some exceptional circumstances where I'll upload a game where I already know what's going to happen. If I do a really good ladder game, for example, I'm not going to cast every single ladder game I do, but if I do an exceptionally good ladder game, play it, then I will go ahead and I'll recast it, because that's a bit different, because I don't know exactly what the opponent's doing and I can cast that sort of stuff, and I can provide a sort of third-person analysis on my own play, which still has some added value. But casting a replay of 2 other people, if I've already cast it once or if I've already watched it once, then no. It's not something that I'm interested in doing. Maybe in a perfect set of circumstances or something, but no, 99.9% of the time I would never do that, simply because the cast would absolutely suck. Even if the game was awesome, my casting of the game would suck. And that is going to be my go. So I'm going to upload this game pretty much the same night as I've cast it. Get up there nice and quick. It'll actually jump in the middle of the quarterfinal uploads for the DreamHack, but yeah, it should be fine. And after this is uploaded, it will be DreamHack goodness constantly. And of course, what am I saying? This game is not just about me apologizing for my utter lack of knowing what the hell I'm on about. This game is... I have to apologize again for ignoring this game, but it is really cracking up to be a good one. We've got some awesome creep all over the place. The Zerg player has got his third base going. It's got this base going quite a little bit. Yeah, we got oh my god, the Terran player, man, is macroing like an absolute champ. Of course, QXE, we know that he can macro like an absolute champ when he wants to. He's got a couple of tanks up there. I don't know if they've been able to do much, but this is up on the third base, so any sort of link offensive in here is going to be knocked back quite well as some tanks. We've got a nice bit of a marine push. Not going to do a ton, but they might be able to knock off this very scary creep coming out of the front of the base. Now, the Zerg player, he's been getting Infestor Tech up as well as Lings and Roaches. The Lings have 1-1, so we can possibly see some Ultra Tech coming on the way, or it may just be for Banelings coming on. And of course, with Marine Tech and Medivacs, Banelings are going to work exceptionally well, and we know that QXE loves his Marines and his tanks. So of course, he probably loves other units as well, but the most memorable game I have of him is Marine tanks. So as far as I'm concerned, that is what he loves. And did somebody actually... There was a Link got right up in front of the tank, and he's obviously trying to take it out or something like that with some splash damage. One Link over here watching the fourth base, but that's not really in danger of being expanded to anytime soon. I think the Terran's pretty happy. Bloody cough. Zerg player going for a 4th base. And yeah, the 13-14 minute mark, very, very nice. We've got a Muta Spire thing coming up here. I can only assume this is going to be for Muta Ling. He may be getting some ultras out, in which case it'd probably be for corruptors to start sniping the medevacs. But I don't know, man. It could be ultras and mutas at the same time. I mean, why not? You can just go absolutely crazy with that sort of stuff if you want to. Constantly setting up medevacs to do some harass. This bit has just got 1 spore, so he can drop down there and still get his medevac away before the medevac is destroyed. But of course, sending it back to pick those guys up again to save their lives is going to be a little bit tough. You can probably drop them down there though. That's not a bad spot. Now this small force, this is going to be a bit scary. They can't all fit in that medevac, I don't think. And these guys are going to get absolutely owned here. There's no chance they're getting away. But they have seen the Zerg offensive coming in, but the Zerg's not going to push. With a bunch of Lings and Banelings. Yeah, he hasn't even got Baneling speed yet, but he's getting it down now. And there we go, there's the Corruptors coming out. And we do have the Hive finished. Oh, Greater Spire, man. So we are going to be seeing some Broodlords. Broodlords going absolutely nuts. I can't think that this Greater Spire... Yeah, it's got to be for Broodlords. And Broodlords versus a Terran player, man. We are going to see exactly how it goes. Broodlords are not effective versus Protoss players because of the Tempest, but against Terran players, they can be very, very effective, especially if you build a crapload of Corruptors. If you have enough Corruptors to deal with the Vikings, and you've got enough Broodlords to just do damage, then yeah, you can do some very, very good stuff. And I believe, if I remember correctly, this is the exactly same tactic that LoWeLy actually used versus Polt in the previous game I casted them. Please tell me it was Polt he was going off against. I cannot remember this. Now I'm getting confused because Scarlet was going... Scarlet going against Polt? No, Scarlet was going against Hero and LoWeLy was going against Polt. Sorry, I'm going to have to go check this. God, my memory is so bad. Oh, that's not the right folder. Yeah, sorry. So Scarlet was going against Polt, and LoWeLy was going against Hero then, it must have been. And I have just missed a whole crap load of stuff, but there weren't that many Marines out there, so I assume they just all got wiped out. Tank support got whittled down quite a bit, and these Corruptors taking out the medevacs must not have helped very much. But here we go, level 3 weapons. It looks like you're just going for Ling and Baneling attack right at this moment. So yeah, it's going to be pretty good. Have a look at the army. The Zerg player is he did quite well that engagement, but the Terran player is still in a very, very nice lead. Terran player really doesn't have the economic advantage, although this mule, man, how is he getting that much income off the minerals, man? That is just mule city all over the place. Of course, he is going to get starved out a lot sooner than the Zerg with all those mules, but right now he has got the economy to make all sorts of crazy shit happen. Now, were there a couple of Broodlords or were they Infestors? I think they may have been Infestors, and I think they got taken out here. A couple of reinforcements coming down. The Banelings, oh, manages to scoop up some guys, but the Marauder's taken most of the hit from those Lings. Some reinforcements coming down with 1 tank, 2 tanks, and these Lings are just going to get wiped out here. And the Corruptors just flying above, looking for some medevacs to take out. There's going to be a couple medevacs in here. They're going to drop off some forces over there onto this 4th base. He's hoping it doesn't have that many defenses, and indeed it doesn't. Reinforcing Lings coming down. The 3rd base has gone down, and if the 4th base comes down, then the Zerg player is going to be in an absolute heap of trouble. I don't know if these know. There's some reinforcing Lings. They're sending him over to the 4th base now. He's given up on the 3rd base, and the Zerg player madly scrambling to get some forces out, but the Terran player has just gone absolutely nuts in far of building stuff up, and this is exactly why, man. The Terran player, he's going for Marines, Marauders, he's going for low to mid tech options. The Zerg player going for Broodlords, man, and he is sucking his economy up like you would not believe. He is not, and if you add in the Infestors, man, that's another big suck on his economy. So he's getting out as many Lings as he wants, but yeah, he needs some mid-tier units like Roaches and Hydras to really deal with these guys. The Ling's just not proving enough, but he has done a bit of a push here. Very nice push with the Lings, pulling the Terran player back to defend. He moved his entire army back to defend this. Not sure if I agree with that, I would have liked to see the Terran player keep his main army up there and just have the reinforcements peel off to deal with those lings, but he chose to send the entire army back. And he's actually gone very aggressive on the expanding, getting a 5th base over here. That's very nice to see. He's looking to keep his economic stranglehold in this game. He's gone down a few workers from that attack, but he's mining off 2 bases. The Zerg is only mining... Actually, the Terran's technically mining off 3, and the Zerg's technically mining off 2, but he's got a little bit more minerals at this point because he hasn't been using mules. There we go, the Terran player, he wants to take out this hatchery again. But there's going to be a nice swarm of lings out here, and some fungal's going to get off as well. So those Terran guys going to have to be a bit scary. They would love to have some tank support up there, but of course having tank support going up the ramp is going to be very scary. And here come the Broodlords finally coming out, and the Terran player will instantly have to get some Vikings out to deal with these. He won't have to, but stimming in Marines to take care of these guys is going to be an absolute pain in the ass. And he's probably going to lose quite a lot of Marines doing that. So Vikings are going to be a very good option, considering there's not that many Corruptors on the field. The only other option is maybe Raven Bombs, and that's just going to take ages, and there's not a massive amount of Broodlords anyway. So yes, very Vikings I would highly recommend. And there we go, a couple of Vikings coming out, and a bunch more Marines. He's sniping some Broodlords here, trying to. One goes down, the other one nearly goes down. He's trying to get it, but I think it's going to get away here. And the rest of the force is going back, but I'm sure he took quite a few fungals. There we go, another force coming through here. And they're just going to keep wiping out stuff left, right and centre. I don't know if he actually... The reinforcement route may not be enough because they're just trickling out one by one. They're going to do a good job, and this time the Terran player is just going to commit with this attack. But he is on creep, and there are quite a lot of banelings. He does a nice dodge to get out of there. And the Broodlord's coming out, but where are the Vikings? He's been building some, but I do not know where they are. The Ling offensive on here. They're sending out the reinforcements, but the reinforcements are not attacking these guys. They're just running through. He's got all his attention on this force here, and some infested Terrans right next to the tanks, man. That is a brilliant, brilliant choice of attack to take those guys out. And this force is getting whittled down very, very heavily. It needs to back away right now. He needs to worry about his base because there's no chance that he can actually make that push work anymore. He's just going to have to fall back. You can see miscellaneous reinforcements. They've just been completely forgotten in the middle of the base. A nice Raven Bomb, but the Zerg player sees that and he's going to get out of there. These guys slowly whittling down the Ling numbers, but all these reinforcements are getting wiped out. A couple of Vikings coming out there. There's one random Marine going off in the field. We haven't actually seen any Widow Mine use in this game. And I wouldn't mind seeing some Widow Mine because they're so good in simply every single situation, especially going against Lings. But is just chosen for Triple M plus tanks, and you really can't fault him for not getting the Widow Mines because even though Widow Mines are awesome, this army composition is just as awesome. And you can see after all that pain and all that pressure, he is still in the lead. He is still mining off 3 bases, while the Zerg is mining off 2. He's managed to get this one up, but he is still behind in the bases. Although this base isn't really mining anymore. He's almost mined out this base. So yeah, the Terran player, man, getting his army up very, very nicely, pushing up very, very nicely. And the Zerg can run Lings all over the place. But yes, his army is still not as huge as the Terran player. And now the Terran player has the Viking support, and hopefully that should mean that these Broodlords are just going to go down. Although the Zerg has been getting up quite a large amount of Corruptors. I think he outnumbers the Vikings with his Corruptor numbers. And yeah, the Terran player needs to get a few more Vikings. He's going to send some Lings out there expecting an expansion, not going to find one. Another expansion here, maybe thinking about moving out. Nice drop force down here to pick up this, and oh my god, gets it at the very last second. So brilliant strategy, taking a drop over to there. He may have been aiming for this base, but he saw this base instead, so he thought, why not? Very, very lucky for him. Got to be knocking out some creep tumors, absolutely essential to be able to get in there. Got to get some fungal growths going down. The Vikings going to try with this large amount of Corruptors. Going to be a bit dicey, but some Raven Bombs going down there is going to help out quite a lot. And the Terran player does not like this too much. He's going to back up a little bit, wait for some reinforcements. He really needs some reinforcing Vikings. He really needs to go in there and just start wiping everything out with Vikings. But yeah, there we go. One tank gets a little bit too close, goes down. He's going to try and push around, take this base out while holding a strong offensive front here. But the Baneling's coming up, and nothing is going to stop them. They take out a massive amount of Marines. but there are still more Marines left off. Some Raven bombs going down, doing some beautiful damage on the Broodlords. Fungal growths everywhere. The Corruptors trying to take down the Ravens. There's still some Vikings around there. All the Broodlords have been taken out by those Vikings, and the Marines are taking out the Corruptors. So the Terran player doing an excellent job in that offensive of getting every single unit where it needed to be. The Vikings taking out the Broodlords, while the Raven bombs were taking out the Broodlords as well. And I think the Vikings running off to, the Ravens running off here, and the Corruptors focusing on the Ravens, which left the Vikings free to do their work. And the Marines, after they had enough to survive the Baneling hits, and they took out the Corruptors like you would not believe. So really, really nice. And at the end, man, the Zerg, yeah, he just it's not often I say this, but the Zerg just didn't have the macro he needed to keep going. He did not get the bases up. I think he needed to expand a bit more aggressively. He was getting this down, but yeah, I would have been a little bit more aggressive at that. Maybe push out a little bit more, but of course it was a little bit overall his economy was excuse me for a second. Sorry about that. Just got a phone call. Yeah, quite annoying when you're casting, but I was expecting a phone call, so I had to leave the phone on. And yeah, I mean his economy, it was good. It was pretty good, but the Terran players was just a bit better, and the Terrans, the job he did at taking out this base constantly, yes, just absolutely did an awesome job. And yeah, keeping the bases up, man. He had he might manage to mine out this one, and at the end he had these two running, and the Zerg, meanwhile, he just hadn't gotten as many minerals as the Terran player, and that let him down in the end. It was mainly just the economy that let him down in the end. He had a fairly decent army composition. Of course, Broodlords are very, very expensive, and if you don't use them extremely well, you don't really get the bang for the buck. And against pretty much any other race, they've got a fairly good counter. Vikings or Vikings, Tempests, Corruptors. You've got a fairly good counter against them. So it's rare that you actually get the bang for a buck. But yeah, so spending a lot on very expensive units that you didn't really get the most out of, and just generally not having as many bases as the Terran player had, kind of let him down in the economic department. And yes, that was the end of LoWeLy for that game. And congratulations to QXC for that fantastic win there. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this game.